Entertainment is being forced, dragged, kicking and screaming to appeal to the chuds yet again, both in terms of marketing and the themes of their games, their TV shows and their movies, because, as it turns out, they're the only ones who are willing to pay for this stuff. They're the only ones who show up to watch the movies and the TV shows. And so the entire industry is left facing one very simple and singular choice. Do it or die. I went over this phenomenon in a recent video, which you should very much so watch, by the way, as I do think it did an excellent job of explaining just how bad things were. Beginning out with Blizzard being downright embarrassed, flagellating themselves in public for the crime of having made attractive female characters, to turning around and doing just that, in fact forcing a very gay man to design a hot woman specifically because that's what the chuds wanted. But this is but half of the solution to our currently ongoing cultural conundrum. The other half is finding products that are actually willing to do this from the beginning, not as a desperate half measure to stay alive, like what Blizzard is doing, but rather as a part of their design, theory, and ideology. Enter swords and slippers. This game has been making quite a lot of wave over the last few months, or about a year or so ago since its announcement. It is still in very early development, mind you, with no release date out as of yet, but its marketing has been very, very effective. First and foremost, this is obviously a game aimed squarely at the male gaze, with all of the accoutrements you would expect from such a video game. But even more importantly than the boobs and the butts, though they are quite lovely, is the developer's stance. Now, the original post here is no longer available, and that tells you just about everything you need to know. The account owner limits who can view this post. But the developer's response: you are not the audience we're building for. Nobody here is interested in your agenda. That does more than 1,000 bouncy pillowy asses to appeal to me, okay? As that shows us that the developers are making this game to actually appeal to the men. They don't give a shit about the currently ongoing wokeist agenda. It is irrelevant to them, and that is far more valuable than any late turn like what Blizzard is doing. And the next step then is to reward games like this. And the best part is, we don't even need to do anything. This is what has always sold and will always sell, as demonstrated by the post having 27.3 million views, 11,000 retweets, 175,000 likes, and 58,000 bookmarks. This is an entirely organic process that has been held down and strangulated for the last 20 years through, make no mistake, entirely artificial means. It has produced 250,000 plus Steam wishlists, and again, whilst the game is very much so early in development, the gameplay that is currently available looks pretty damn good. It's a relatively basic hack and slash game with loads of combos, jumping, dodging, the classic enemies, big guys with swords and shields, etc. Okay, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel, and I've been saying repeatedly, we don't need that right now. Innovation has its place. Revolution has its place. It's not 20 years into an entertainment drought. I just want a good video game. Now, that's literally all I desire, and this looks like it's promising exactly that. Better still, you might think that you're simply playing as the women, right? No. Between runs, the heroines come home to the castle and to you, Prince Charming. Win their trust, uncover their secrets, and let your choices shape each heroine's story. Romance them if you like, but mind your cursed charm, or affection curdles into dangerous obsession. Basically, this is an offline, single purchase waifu game. The hack and slash gameplay has my attention. Now, you have my undivided interest as well. And hey, I've been bringing on repeatedly now authors from the male romance genre, the harem lit RPG genre, specifically because I think that is something that we need to bring more cultural understanding and acceptance of, because it's probably rather healthy for young men, particularly in today's environment, to know what romance is supposed to look like. Now, I doubt this game is going to be quite as detailed as perhaps the full-on authorial works, but again, this is obviously a video game for men, for the male audience, and being very unapologetic about it, and being rewarded for it as well. We have yet further examples of that too in the video game Knight's Path. This is another game that is simply deciding to go, well, you know what we haven't had for ages? Simple adventures. So we're going to make you a knight, and we're going to have you in our world slaying demons, giant monsters, fighting mythical entities, and rescuing damsels. Full-on romance option and the works. It's another game that has been under a lot of fire from the progressive crowd for being, well, a male power fantasy, for being oriented towards straight white male, the least represented group in gaming right now, and also the most frequent, weirdly enough. 4.5 million views in that official gameplay trailer right there. It's too pulling a lot of attention, which translates into a ton of wish lists. 400,000 wish lists here on August 1st. That is pretty damn good. Now, of course, wish lists do not necessarily translate into sales, mind you. In fact, we have the antithesis example of these video games, 1348 Ex Voto, the precise opposite. It's not about men, it's about a lesbian knight rescuing her lesbian lover from evil white men in Italy. It was also diametrically opposed to the previous two examples politically, as both Knight's Path and Swords and Slippers have very clearly and vociferously stated that they are interested in, again, shock and surprise, the male audience, and showing active disgust for the people attempting to politicize this nonsense. 1348 Ex Voto was heralded as the next great game and was absolutely filleted by a near unified gaming media. The established narrative was this was going to be the great woke savior, to prove once and for all that woke wasn't dead. It still had a big and vibrant audience just waiting for it. And again, the numbers look pretty gosh darn good. Price reveal here, 1.1 million views and 250,000 wish lists. And if you convert 10% of that, you've actually got a pretty major video game there. Hell, if you convert 1% of that, you've got a fairly major video game. But what happened to 1348 Ex Voto? You probably already know, as they had to release this funny little tweet shortly after releasing the game. It is time to honor your vow. It's available now. Come on, Jesus, buy it. Where are the 2 million people who watched this game originally? Where are the 250,000 people who wishlisted it? As the game peaked at 427 people. That is 0.04% of the people who merely viewed like the announcement tweet of this. They converted 0.04% of them to actually play the video game. Now, again, sure, it costs nothing to click the wishlist button, now does it, to favorite a game, and this is exactly the thing. So you might look at, again, fairly impressive numbers like 400,000, and maybe it'll only get 800 players, but The difference is the audience in question. It has been proven, reliably so, again and again, like clockwork, that the chuds actually buy stuff. They actually show up for the video games that appeal to them. They are literally the demographic that makes or breaks games these days. We've seen that throughout movies, TV shows, video games, everything. This has been a virtually ironclad rule with very few examples of exceptions. And indeed, the only few exceptions have been the handful of woke games that have actually been good, and so still attracted the chud demographic who went, I don't like the politics, but it's a good video game. At the end of the day, that's kind of the important thing. So, the big question here then is, how will this convert? A Knight's Tale, 400,000 wish lists. Swords and Slippers, 250,000 at the moment. That's probably going to increase quite a bit, I imagine. Are we going to see the same kind of conversion as 1340x ex voto? In which case, we will prove that I guess the chud audience didn't exist. It was yet another illusion of being the majority, but an illusion that the woke have been suffering under for the last 20 years, as they believed they were the ones, the audience that needed to be appealed to, and they were very successful in convincing companies and entertainment of that supposed reality. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure that when a game like this gets 250,000 wishlists, when a game like Knight's Path gets 400,000 wishlists, barring these being terrible games, mind you, and that is always a possibility, 1348 ex voto wasn't merely woke, it was pretty garbage as well, which contributes to its failings, make no doubt about it. Perhaps Knight's Path will come out and it'll be dreadful. Perhaps Swords and Slippers will come out and it too will be dreadful, in which case no amount of wishlists can save them. But I am virtually certain that these games will come out in a year or two's times or whatever, and will see significantly greater success, even with comparable wishlist entries. And honestly, as far as the gaming industry is concerned, as this point has already been hammered home very well so in most branches of entertainment, this will be the final data point that proves once and for all to even the most skeptical of gaming companies, when you have indie games, in essence, being created by teams of a dozen individuals, selling probably more than a major AAA titles, although that might be optimistic. Although, considering that a hide-and-seek game did just that, who knows? This will be the final data point that will, once and for all, I think, convince practically the entire industry what they already knew, or at least should already have known, that what sells didn't actually change, and that this entire thing was just an idiotic aside. It was snake oil sold to them by charismatic and wildly misleading salesmen, and somehow were allowed in past the door. And if that message finally does land, we might actually see some good video games coming out even of the major developers, should they survive the conversion therapy process, that is. And considering again how many of them have major unions, to the point where, see, here's the worst part, a lot of these big companies, Blizzard, etc., they have an issue where they can't even just fire people. They can't afford to keep doing what they're doing, and they can't afford to fire the people who have been forcing them to do it because of unions and contracts, etc. Bethesda has begun the process, as has Microsoft, but there's some serious reconstructing and reworking that's going to be necessary if this is to be fixed. Personally, I wouldn't mind if a couple of the major studios went the way of the dodo. God knows they killed enough of good promising studios in their past as well, and by now, I'm pretty sure we are long past the idea that a studio's pedigree matters for shit. So, a few of them have to die, they die. Until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and do go check out Swords and Slippers and A Knight's Path as well. Have a good day.